Okay, this video is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a quick overview of the equipment in the media booth, and also a little bit more detail on running OBS for the service. OBS stands for Open Broadcast Software. So, equipment-wise in the media booth, here is our laptop that is connected to the TVs in the foyer, and it shows the PowerPoint announcements, if there are any, and also our welcome screen, and we'll see you next week's screen at the end. The next, moving to the right, is this HDMI splitter. You see it's 2x4, which means it has 2 inputs and 4 outputs. So the 2 inputs are actually the laptop, which we were just looking at, and the second input is the video camera that we use for recording and streaming the service. There's a selector button here that allows you to switch between the two of them. Right now, we'll see when we fire up Open Broadcaster, OBS, on the computer that's designed for that, we'll see that it is looking at the laptop screen, which shows the welcome back PowerPoint slide. Next to the right in the media booth is the computer that we run the PowerPoint for the service. Continuing to move to the right, we see another computer that is, we see that down there. There's the base unit, the CPU, and that little blue light is the video capture card that is attached into the system. So the camera, which records the service, goes into the HDMI 2x4 splitter, and then one of the outputs from that comes into the computer down here, into the video capture card, and that's all part of the capture and streaming system. So this is the computer, and right in the middle of the screen you see the OBS icon, Open Broadcaster. We're going to be launching that in just a moment. And now continuing to the right, we've got our audio console to control the audio for the band, as well as anything coming out of the computers music-wise, videos, the audio levels there. And then finally, we've got the camera itself that's used to shoot and stream the service. And you see what we've got attached to this. You see it's already on. As soon as you flip open the screen, the image is shown to the camera. There are 2 attachments we're going to talk about here. First, there's the front audio jack. There's 2 of them here. This is for a listening mic, headphone set, if you want to hear what's going in. The other is the input for the external microphone. So we use this Rode professional microphone to capture the audio for the service, and that gets hooked directly into the camera. It has better audio, of course, than the onboard microphone that's in the camera itself. Controls for the Rode are pretty simple. Just got to turn it on and plug it in. Green light means your battery is good. If it goes red, it means you got about an hour of battery left. Takes a 9-volt. Connections into the computer, into the camera. There's our power connection. We leave that plugged in all the time, even though it's got a battery. That way it's always charged up and ready to go. So back around to the front, we've got to provide a video feed. So that's this HDMI cable here. It's a mini jack, and it goes right into that part right there. So when we plug this in, pardon me while I do that, then that will connect the camera to the video system to allow us to do the stream. And then the last thing is you do see there's a power button here. You see it's lit up. We're already pushing video out as soon as we flip the screen open, but we're not recording anything. So if we press that button, you will see a little red light, a little square show up here, which means that we are recording. So what we do is, even though we're live streaming and the stream is being recorded on the hosting site, we also run we copy it here, we record it here on the camera as well, and that way if there's a internet issue, a problem with the live stream itself, we would still be able to capture the video from the service from the camera itself. So I'm just going to push that button that's right up here, and I'm doing this with the wrong hand. You'll have to pardon me. There it is. I'm sorry, it's right here, right here. Right there. So look at the screen when I press that, and I hope you can see that little red indicator at the top of the screen that shows that it is recording. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that back off. So even though it's not recording, it's going back to a white square, it is still sending the signal. Okay, so back over here to OBS. What happens next? So when we're ready to stream the service, we come back to the computer over here with OBS, and we come up here and double click on the OBS icon right there. And that launches OBS. So what we're seeing here, we're already capturing the image from the video, from the camera. Now if I were to go over and switch the button on the HDMI 4x4, which I'm going to do right now, you'll see it black out for a moment. And switch to the slide that's on the laptop. So that tells you whether to make sure you're connected into the right place. So obviously we want to be streaming the service. So I'll push that select button again, and in a moment it'll switch it back to the other signal. Okay, here we go. Alright, so while I'm talking, you see a couple things over here on the left hand side. You see a fade out and a worship. The worship is simply the stream we're looking at right now, which is the worship service, the camera. If I click fade out, for instance, at the end of the service, it just goes to a gradual blackout. So we're going to click on worship and bring the service back in. There we go. Okay, so that's our live camera feed going out, connected to our website and also to our streaming service. You see down the bottom here, you see the indicator moving for the volume that it's picking up. You just have to kind of keep an eye on that. You don't want it to get so high that it peaks into this red area. Sometimes it will do that while the band is playing. So the way to do that, to control that, is you click on the slider, left click, hold it, and then drag it to the left, and that reduces the amount of audio that it's picking up. When pastor's speaking or someone's speaking, their voice is not going to come through as strong as the band does, so then you can pull that back up by sliding it back the other way. Usually starting off about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way up is a good place to get going from. Now when we're actually ready to start the service, we come over to the right here and we see these controls. There's one that says Start Streaming. As soon as we click that, then we are actually streaming over the internet right now. So when I've done that, you see this little bar has changed from the word Start Streaming to Stop Streaming. Also down the bottom here you see this green box has popped up onto the screen. This information down the bottom here tells us how good our stream actually is. Here it shows we haven't dropped any frames. This tells us how long we have been streaming, 38 seconds right now. We don't record here on the computer because that's being done through the streaming service and also on the camera itself. This tells us how much usage on the CPU, the computer CPU, is happening. Anything below 50% you're in good shape. That's showing 23% or so. We're shooting at 30 frames per second. And this green box tells us a good thing. That tells us that our stream is strong. That may change color. It can go to yellow or red. If it does that, then that means there's something wrong with our stream itself, or our internet connection is not doing so well. So we would have to, we could restart it if it was really bad, and that would show that we're dropping a lot of frames over here, or it just may correct itself. Sometimes the stream will buffer a little bit to allow it to catch up those frames that it's dropping and get back on track. But typically that's going to be green, and we're in pretty good shape. We've got a pretty good web service here. And that's about it. So when we are at the close of the service, the best way to do it would be to go over to, as the service completes, you just click the fade out and stop streaming. And then the green box goes away. We're done for the day. I'm just going to switch it back to worship. There we are. So that's about it. And then to close OBS, you simply can either exit here or do the exit at the top of the screen. Simple as that. Alright, exit there. If you want to learn more about live streaming itself and OBS, you can go to YouTube and search for church media, church live streaming, and one of the best people that I found that explains things is a fellow who does it for his church. His last name is Ballast, B-A-L-L-A-S-T, and his YouTube channel is Ballast Media. And he's got he uses OBS. He's pretty high end, but he also has some good basic setup explanations. So that's it for this one.